Wonderful to see so many people here this evening. This is the Monday, May 13th meeting of the Bennington Select Board. We're in the fire facility, 3rd floor in Bennington, in the multipurpose room. And I am Jeannie Jenkins, and I have the pleasure of chairing this board. I'll ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves.
Hi, Nancy White.
I'm Ed Woods.
Hi, I'm Tom Haley.
I remain Clark Adams.
Hi, I'm Jean Connor.
Thank you all. And also with us tonight, we have Town Manager Stu Hurd. We have Nancy Lively, who takes excellent minutes. We have Jonah Spivak, who's making sure all of our video works properly. And we have Josh Boucher, who is from Cat TV and making sure that this is live tonight. So thank you very much. We'll start as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ed. Tom, would you read the vision statement, please?
I will. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is the consent agenda. For the purpose of discussion, would someone please make a motion to adopt it?
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Second?
Okay, excellent. All right, any discussion? I will say that we have added to the liquor license, Little City Cider is listed under the first-class license renewal and also under the outside consumption permit renewals. All right. Otherwise, everything's the same as it looks.
I have some questions or things I'd like to review, please.
Go ahead.
As you are aware, I missed the last meeting. So there's some things that popped up in both the minutes and the discussion that I would like clarified, please. I'm looking here at the minutes. Line 300, discussing the issues around the emergency action plan.
Can you give us a line?
Like I said, line 300. I'm a bit confused that the emergency action plan in terms of sheltering and so forth, was that a separate issue from the sheltering and warming situation that was discussed on line 316? And also, in reference, I guess you were at a meeting that was reported in the 15 April banner where you specifically stated the position, I don't know if it's your personal position or your chair position, that the operation of these warming shelters, as discussed by Mr. Rosser and his organization, were responsibility of social welfare agencies and not the town. Did I misunderstand that?
So the meeting that BOA sponsored, which was a community meeting that they held, I spoke as an individual and said that I was speaking as an individual, and Tom was present, so I submitted comments, and then Tom was also able to go to the meeting and also spoke as an individual. So the comments that were made at that meeting are comments that are mine alone. We did not have any discussion of the emergency management plan until this last meeting, and these are the minutes from that meeting. So everything that's discussed in here is in reference to the emergency management plan.
Okay, so the discussion of the heating and cooling
Yes, that's part of
shelter
the plan.
is not part of this emergency plan?
No, it is part of this
It is?
plan.
All right, but so your position, I guess maybe we need to hear the town position, since you explained what your and Tom's position is the operation of these shelters, as noted by Mr. Rosser and his organization, a responsibility of the town or the responsibility of these social welfare agencies?
The identification So the emergency management plan is required by the state in order for us to get emergency management money in case there is an emergency. You had a copy of the plan. One of the requirements is to identify long-term disaster shelters and also warming and cooling shelters. And it gives you a way to do that. You list the facility, and then you circle whether it's how many people it serves, whether it's warming, cooling, overnight, whether it has showers, whether it has kitchens. So I'm thinking that what we're doing right now is approving the minutes. So we can have more discussion on the emergency management plan. There was there also was a training that was held that several of us went to.
And there will be follow-up meetings.
And yeah, but those are that's not for the big group. Okay. So I think if you have other questions on how the emergency management plan works, we should do that at another time.
No, my
Yes.
question was not how the plan works. My question was to delineate areas of responsibility. I understand the town has responsibilities in terms of emergencies and so forth. Specifically in terms of the role and responsibilities of the town, roles and responsibilities of these social welfare entities. I know you and Tom expressed your personal stance. I think it's important that the town hear the official stance, that is it or is it not the responsibility of the town to provide these shelters. And I realize we're discussing the minutes here, but as I said, I wasn't here for that meeting, and had I been here for that meeting, I would have brought this up, and the notes do not give me any clear ideas.
So Clark, there is a responsibility to identify what kinds of shelters you have. There is I think a shared interest among some select board members and the community to make sure that heating and cooling shelters are also available. My personal belief on that is that's a shared responsibility, but the next steps, as are indicated, are for a follow-up meeting to occur to further flesh out the plan. So there are things called annexes. So we've done the basic plan, and that's what we've done in the past. So there are things called annexes, which are basically appendices, and those allow for further explanation of how things are going to happen. And that's the piece that requires joint work. Yeah.
Identification and operation are two separate things in my mind.
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm frustrated.
Right now we are on the minutes, so
Yeah, can I just clarify?
Yeah.
I may stand corrected.
Okay.
But when we approve minutes, it's strictly
Yeah.
to look at the accuracy. Discussion does not happen
Yes.
That's
during
correct.
this agenda item. It's accuracy, spellings, grammar,
Yes.
I specifically
misstatements.
said my issues were that I was not here for the meeting, and I wanted to clarify what
You
was
can
going
do that.
on.
It's just not the appropriate time to do that.
When is the
It's just
appropriate time?
accuracy.
Everything seems to be inappropriate.
Other
with
business,
certain
we can
people.
put it on in a future agenda. It is
Clark, I would
purely
suggest-
Can we have
accuracy.
it put on a future agenda,
Excuse me.
unambiguously? Can we, yes or no?
We will after the group meets, and there is a regional emergency management plan meeting tomorrow. So after the local emergency management plan meets again, we will need to come back because, as noted earlier, any changes or updates that we make to the plan have to be approved by the select board. So it will be coming back to the select board. It's just a little early right now. But I am happy to sit down with you and go through the local emergency management plan so that it's clear what our roles are and then what the additional pieces are.
Still waiting to hear
any
yes
other
or no?
comments? So, no, the answer was yes. Any other questions about this, about the minutes?
On the warrant.
Anything on the warrants? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please say no. Any abstentions? Please indicate so. Clark, are you abstaining?
I'm ruminating.
Okay.
I think at this point,
I think you have to abstain if you didn't watch the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, one abstention. All right, thank you very much. So, next up on the agenda is public comment. We have 4 individuals that have signed up. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during public comment? Public comment is for issues that are not on the agenda, and and you have up to 3 minutes to speak, and it is time to share information that you see useful to the entire community.
And I'll be giving the keeping time.
And Jean has the yellow flag at 2.5 minutes. All right. All right. All right. So, Kelly, you're up for Saturday Riverwalk. Oh, Kelly, we're going to use the middle one because it seems to work better.
Sorry about that.
For public comment, at least.
Okay. I don't want to send it flying. Kelly Carroll, Bennington, and hopefully you can hear me. On Saturday, May 18th, the Walloomsac River and Downtown Walk will celebrate the town of Bennington, the Bank of Bennington, and the Bennington Housing Authority for the wonderful improvements to the Walloomsac River Walk. The town of Bennington, especially the Highway, Building and Grounds, and the Community Development Departments, are responsible for widening and repaving the pathway, providing new lighting, and securing the funding for these efforts. The Bank of Bennington and the Bennington Housing Authority added additional security measures along the walk to increase the usability and safety for these residents and the community. And we want to thank them out loud for these wonderful accomplishments. We will also recognize our 11th unsung hero, Michael McDonough. Michael also played an important role in the Riverwalk improvements. Michael exemplifies the purpose of these awards, which recognizes individuals who have quietly gone above and beyond on behalf of the community. Michael's decades of service to the community include playing a role in the Riverwalk improvements. So please join us for this month's walk to celebrate our unsung hero and to thank the organizations and the departments that have improved the Riverwalk, making it an even more cherished asset to the Bennington community. The Riverwalks begin at 10 a.m. They start down at Rotary Bennington Station Park, People's Park. We walk up the Riverwalk. The award to Michael will be given outside of the Walloomsac Apartments. I encourage anyone to come and join us. If you'd like to say a couple of words about Michael, please feel free to come in and join us and do so. And we thank you all for your support. And if it does rain, we will be changing the location for the award. That would be inside of the VFW, so if there is an inclement weather, we will make that notice on Front Porch Forum and Bennington Blotter. So thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, Mona for Morgan Street. So you have to speak directly into this mic in order for it to work.
Okay. I'm Mona Gauthier, Bennington, Vermont, and I have a request dealing with Morgan Street. Coming off from Morgan Street, when you turn left on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights, there's cars from the toll house, Millard Toll House, and they block the view from going down to see down for oncoming traffic. And then you have people coming off from Beach Street, and I would like to see something in the line of maybe one parking spot designated no parking from here to corner, just to make it safer for the residents. And there's also another issue that the signage for the Greenberg walkway and the intersection, do not block the intersection, that sign seems to be in coordination with the crosswalk. So in order to see past that, you have to actually edge your way out further.
Where is that one?
It's right in the same area. When you're, it's a
At Headwaters? headwaters?
No, right on the end of Morgan Street, when you're pulling out and you look straight across, you see Miller's Toll House.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, in front is the crosswalk, and there's a sign here that says, please do not block intersection. And then there's a sign for the Greenberg's walkway. And that one could be situated differently. Thank you.
Yep, got it. Thank you very much. Stu, you took notes on that, yes?
Yes, actually, I heard about it just before the meeting started.
Okay, all right. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We will follow up on that. Tortoise, lead pipes.
Tortoise Isselhart, Bennington, and what I wrote down was lead pipes, but that about crosswalk reminds me that at the intersection of Main Street and Benmont, those pedestrian lights, every now and then, sometimes 2 or 3 times in one day, there are invisible pedestrians because they do the countdown. And in all directions, the cars have to stop until the invisible pedestrians have walked through. So I know that it isn't, it must be something in the wiring, but it's been 2 or 3 years at least that it's been doing this.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Now, about lead piping. Washington Post articles in late April and early May reported, 1, a decade after the crisis in Flint, Michigan, triggered national alarms about the dangers of lead in U.S. drinking water, the White House estimates that more than 9 million lead pipelines still supply homes across the country. And now, in early May, the Biden administration announced that it will start distributing $3 billion to communities across the country to replace up to 1.7 million lead pipes. Meanwhile, Bennington was the first community in Vermont to have its lead pipe replacement funded by the state of Vermont. Starting in 2017, Casella has been removing old leaded water pipes running from town mains to individual residences at no cost to the property owners. They did an absolutely grand job at 155 Main Street, a property that I own, including the bringing in ample amounts of topsoil, seeding it. It looks better than it ever looked. But time is running out to have this done free. Engineer Jason Dolmetsch, in a presentation to the Select Board, estimated that the average lead line replacement would cost between $8,000 and $14,000. So, as Jeannie and many of you have said over and over, if you are a property owner or a renter and aren't sure whether the lead pipes have been replaced in your property, get on it. Now is the time before the project runs out.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yes, we want no lead lines left in Bennington.
Can I just add something to that comment?
Yes.
And you will be required to remove your lead line in the future without it being paid for. So, yeah, get on it is right.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, Jenny, come and talk to us about festival.
Hello, Jenny Dewar, Pownell, but I'm here for the Apple Barn that I do not work for, but I am contracted to take care of the vendors for the festivals. When you finish with the Walloomsac Walk, and it's not going to rain, head on over to the Apple Barn for our next festival. It's called Roots and Blooms. Our first one, Maple in April, was a huge success. Lots of people. The vendors were all happy. So come for some happy time. That's going to be from 10 to 5 on Saturday, this Saturday, May 18th. Sarah, the owner of the Apple Barn, has also decided that every festival here, moving forward, is going to celebrate a particular not-for-profit in town that she's chosen. And this first one is for PAVE. So PAVE will have a spot we'll have a 50-50, all the money goes to them, all the good things that happen for not-for-profits. So please come out and support them. And the weekly Makers Market that I started at the Apple Barn, also in the north lot of the barn, we started this past Sunday. It did rain. It was 50 degrees. That wasn't fun, but we did have a fair number of people showed up anyway. Vendors were pleased with it. It was festive. So Sundays 12 to 4, come on over to the Makers Market. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Lots of fun things. All right, next up, it's our pleasure to invite the EMS staff here to come on up so we can read a proclamation on your behalf. So, Bill, if it's okay with you, Ed will read the proclamation.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. The turnout from your organization is notable, much appreciated. So, EMS Week Proclamation. Whereas May 19th through 25th, 2024 marks the 50th anniversary of Emergency Medical Services Week. This year's theme, Honoring Our Past, Forging Our Future, reminds us to acknowledge the foundational work of those who came before us, while also striving to build and lead the EMS system we envision for our future. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the Bennington Rescue Squad organized in April of 1963 and responded to their first call in June of 1963, and whereas the members of the Bennington Rescue Squad are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness, injury, and whereas emergency medical services have grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, and the Bennington Rescue Squad consists of dedicated first responders, emergency medical technicians, advanced emergency medical technicians, paramedics, critical care paramedics, educators, and the trained members of the public. And whereas members of the Bennington Rescue Squad engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and the people of the town of Bennington are deeply grateful to the Bennington Rescue Squad for its 61 years of service. Now, therefore, we, the Bennington Select Board, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through 25th, 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week, where emergency care begins, and encourage the community to observe this week and celebrate 61 years of public service by the Bennington Rescue Squad. Dated this 13th day of May, 2024, and we will have this signed for you before you all leave tonight.
We will.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a super brief comment. My name is Bill Camarda, Bennington resident.
You're going to have to speak directly.
All right, speak all the way up and directly into the mic, so I'll lean over a little bit here. Bill Camarda, Executive Director, Bennington resident. I appreciate the Select Board and all the support that we receive from you and the residents of the town of Bennington and the other towns that we do serve. It all couldn't be done without this crew. That's about half of our staff right now, standing here before you, who work tirelessly every day to provide people with the care that they need and get them to the right place at the right time with the right resource. So I'll keep it brief, and that's it. You always have a long meeting, and have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much. Oh, and next week, we do have two things going on. So the first is we have a free training Thursday evening at 5 p.m. at Bennington Rescue. It's a combination of learning hands-only CPR, stop the bleed, and naloxone training. training on a grant, on 2 different grants. We were able to obtain bleeding control kits and naloxone to provide to community members that come and attend. You don't get a certification card or anything for it, but just learning how to do it and where to put your hands is super important. You call 911 and the operator from Vermont State Police will guide you the rest of the way. Those are the 3 kinds of emergencies where somebody needs help before we can even arrive there. And if they don't receive it, there may be a poor outcome. So we like to provide that training for free, usually once a quarter or so. And then we have a celebration event for our providers. It's their annual recognition awards, along with some partner awards for other agencies we work with in the community. And that's on Friday, the 24th at 2 p.m. If anybody's available to join us from the select board or from the public, we love to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much. It's making its way down. Yes? Yes, sorry. Did you get one? Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right, next, it is our pleasure to invite the Youth Leadership Group that's in collaboration with Mount Anthony Union Middle School and Alliance for Community Transformation to come up and introduce yourselves and share some information that you have been working on with us. Yay! And we'll remind, yes, speak directly into the microphone.
We're the Youth Leadership Group, and we will be giving a brief presentation about our work at Mount Anthony Union Middle School. We are Sophia. I'm in 8th grade.
Miriam, I'm in 8th grade.
Chase, I'm in 6th grade.
Abby, I'm in 6th grade.
And Chloe. She's in 6th grade, but unfortunately she could not be here tonight. The Youth Leadership Group, or the YLG for short, is a group of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders with a goal of promoting healthy behaviors among our classmates and supporting and improving the school climate and broader community. The YLG is partnership between our school, Mount Anthony Union Middle School, and ACT, a substance misuse prevention organization focused on supporting healthy youth in the Bennington region. The advisors of the Youth Leadership Group are Ms. Koyman, the prevention coordinator at Mount Anthony Union Middle School, and Alyssa from ACT Bennington.
The Youth Risk Behavior Survey, or YRBS for short, is a national survey that students take every 2 years on behavior topics. The survey includes health risk behaviors, for example, the use of substances like alcohol or cannabis, as well as health protective behaviors, for example, physical exercise, eating together as a family, or having an adult in school you feel you can talk to about your problems. We learned to analyze the YRBS and look at the 2021 data from SVSU and our school specifically to help find the topics that we wanted to focus on and bring attention to in our community. The results helped the school and the Youth Leadership Group plan and evaluate programs and create projects that can help improve the health and safety of our students in our school.
We used the 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey data because the results of the 2023 YRBS are not available yet. From 2021 Mount Anthony Union Middle School YRBS data, the Youth Leadership Group picked 3 health risk factors that we think are the biggest concerns in our community, in our school community. These are, in 2021, 47% of Mount Anthony Union Middle School students were ever bullied on school property. In 2021, 27% of Mount Anthony Union Middle School students ever seriously thought about suicide or killing themselves. In 2021, 11% of Mount Anthony Union Middle School students had ever tried marijuana, also known as cannabis or weed. It is important to share as well that some students are impacted by these concerns at a higher rate than others.
Besides the 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, we also looked at the results of the 2023 Core Measure Student Survey from ACT, which was filled out by most Mount Anthony middle school students. As we mentioned before, ACT is Bennington's Substance Misuse Prevention Coalition. What we found in this survey about youth mental health was also concerning. 21% of students have felt sad or hopeless all of the time or most of the time in the past year. 28% of students have felt anxious and worried all of the time or most of the time in the past year. 10% of students have thought about hurting themselves all of the time or most of the time in the past year.
We also are interested in our peers' thoughts. We asked advisory teachers to help us share an online survey with students to ask for their feedback on the 3 concerns that we selected from 2021 YRBS. 95 students filled out the survey, as you can see here. But number 1 concern was identified as bullying, number 2 was mental health, and number 3 was student use of marijuana or weed.
We don't just look at data about issues at our school. We use the results to come up with actions and projects that can help make things better. We started with the work on the concern of youth mental health at Mount Anthony Middle School, since that impacts everything else. We came up with the idea of the Calm Down boxes. The Calm Down box is a tool to help students deal with big or challenging emotions in time of stress, anxiety, or crisis. It contains resources, coping techniques, and supportive objects like fidgets. It is one tool to help improve mental health support systems in our school.
As we mentioned, the goal of the Calm Down box is to support students' mental health. It can do this in various ways. It can help students work through challenging emotions to not have outbursts or distract others. It can help students feel less stressed and more focused with their studies. It can help students be more at peace within themselves. If students have ADHD or can't focus, it might help them regulate themselves. If students are having a bad day, it might help their day become better. If students have anxiety, it can help them calm down a little bit. This does not only help the students, but also the teachers and the whole class, since it will help avoid disturbances during class.
To start, we would like to put calm down boxes in places where students can go when they need support, such as a nurse, school counselors or coalition's office, restroom, looms, SAC, and tectonic offices, and the principal's office. Later, we'd like to see the calm down boxes down items in all classrooms so that students don't need to leave the room to use helpful things such as fish to help them focus on schoolwork, feels less anxious, etc. We brainstormed about what we should put in the calm down box. Our ideas include stress balls and squishy toys, fidgets like poppets, sensory stickers, breathing exercises, color and play pages, Play-Doh or clay, noise-reducing earplugs.
Besides the idea of the Calm Down box, we thought about our future projects that can help students' mental health, help reduce bullying and the impacts of bullying, and help increase feelings of belonging and safety in our school. One example we thought of is educating students more about how to talk to peers about mental health. This could be done by having students participate in special training for middle school students about youth mental health. This could teach us how to support our peers and how to help classmates in getting support from adults. It can also be helpful in setting up peer support groups. which are student-to-student mental health conversations guided by trusted and trained adults. Our advisors are currently looking into training programs to be approved by school administration, so this is an idea for a long-term project.
There are many resources at school and online to support students who are struggling in crisis or just need a little extra support, which are posted on the Youth Leadership Group bulletin board in our school and promoted in newsletters to families. The hotlines listed here are available for people of all ages, and the Trevor Project is specifically for LGBTQ youth and young adults.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We want to share some ways to support youth and promote youth mental health and wellness in the community.
May is also Youth Appreciation Month in Vermont. Youth Appreciation Month is an annual celebration of young people for all their contributes to our community. This statewide celebration started in Bennington in 2013. A group of Bennington students drafted a resolution about the Vermont House of Representatives declared April 27th as Youth Appreciation Day. In 2016, the governor signed a new proclamation that May is Youth Appreciation Month. Bennington youth guided this effort and were present at the signing. Youth Appreciation Day was created in response to Youth Risk Behavior Survey. Data was reflected the low rates of Vermont youth who feel they matter in our community. Currently, only about half of Bennington area feel like they matter to our community, and this number is significantly lower for LGBTQ+. Youth and youth of color. Students in our school also report feeling like they matter at a significantly lower rates than middle school students statewide. Feeling of mattering are important. According to the study of adolescent health in the U.S., teens report a sense of belonging. Connections in mattering at home, school, and in the community were as much as 66% less likely to experience health risk behaviors related to sexual health, substance abuse, and violence. And these youth had better mental health in adulthood.
We brainstormed ways that the Bennington community members and town leaders could help support youth mental health. One of these ways was to promote safe storage of substances like cannabis, vape products, and prescription medicines so that children and youth couldn't access them at home. Support funding for mental health care in Bennington, including our schools where youth spend most of their time. Promote parent support groups and resources which can help make home life better and safer for youth, as well as normalizing talking about mental health, which shows young people it's okay to talk about it and reduces stigma, which makes it easier for everyone to ask for help when they need it. Share information with parents and caregivers about substances and the health risks of youth use of substance like cannabis, vapes, and alcohol, so they discourage their children from using. Finally, help create a youth-friendly downtown. On Main Street, there are many bars and several places that sell vapes, tobacco, and cannabis, but there are not many substance-free places where teens can hang out. We would like town leaders to involve more young people in planning and decisions around making downtown a safer place for everyone. This show results from a recent report from Crisis Text Line, which is a text-based mental health support line. They looked at 87,000 conversations with young people where they mentioned coping, resources that help them feel better in a mental health crisis. As you can see from the graph, in addition to services like therapy, mental health, support for young people in the community also looks like after-school clubs, art education, sports, libraries, and access to safer outdoor spaces and recreation. Thank you for listening. We hope you found our presentation interesting and learned some ways that you can be supportive adults to young people in Bennington.
That was fantastic. Would you be willing to stay there for a moment, and there may be some questions from the select board? Is that okay? Yeah, that was fantastic. You really did a nice job, all of you.
Thank you so much.
Any select board members have questions? Jean?
I don't have a question. I have just a comment.
Okay.
Okay. The first thing I want to say is I hope all of you are so proud of yourselves. What you just did is not easy. So first of all, you need to be really proud of what you just did and what you're doing at your school. You're caring, you're brave, you're confident, and most importantly for me, you're doing something to make your school a better school and our community a better community. And I personally thank you very much for everything that you're doing.
Lovely. Ed?
So let me just mirror what Jean said. Great job articulating. Data can sometimes be dry, and you guys presented data in a way that captured my attention, and I saw the attention of just about everybody in this room. So you did a really good job, and you should be proud of yourselves. Do we have a copy of your presentation? I wondered, or could we have? Thank you. I think that belongs saved in prosperity, in perpetuity.
Well, that too, yes.
Yeah, in perpetuity.
Yeah. We can put it, we'll add it to the minutes, so it'll be in the, in that. Well, I am hoping that you guys will come back when the 2023 data is available, so you can compare the 21 and 23 data. I think that will be very, very helpful. And I'm really happy that you talked about youth-friendly spaces, because I think that's something that we should think about. I think about the parks, but just thinking more broadly about how do we make this a place where it feels comfortable and welcoming for youth to be there.
I would like to make note of how very important it is that you guys have taken the number one step of identifying there's a problem and actually working on that problem, but more importantly, been a long time ago, but young folks have a tendency to listen to each other more than they listen to us. And the fact that you folks are involving your peers, getting information, demonstrating not only that there is a problem, that you are seeking a solution. It's easy to point fingers, but it's even much harder to fix things. And you folks are trying to fix it, and regardless of what I hear about the young people, when I hear you folks speak, I think we're going to leave this world in good hands.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right. Thank you so much. Wonderful. I hope you come back soon. All right. Next up is sort of a short agenda item on the charter committee discussion. Thanks to Maria, we know that we are due a charter review committee. We agreed when we did the last charter review, which hadn't been done for many, many, many years,
that's true,
that we would convene a group, a charter review group every 5 years. So what we wanted to do was sort of go through the steps of what we need to do, and to the extent we can, sort of map out a timeline. So the first step in doing this is for the select board to come up with a charge, and that sort of has 3 parts to it. So we will have open discussion. So we talked about starting that discussion at next week's meeting. Yes. As well as having Jonah open a portal so that the community can start putting in comments and keep that comment period open until June 10th, which will be the following meeting. So we need to set the charge for the group, and that would include anything that we all agree should definitely be researched by the Charter Review Group, plus anything that the Charter Review Group wants to take on. So, so it's setting the charge. We can have between 5 and 9 individuals. We may not need to set that until we see who applies, but we could if we wanted to. And we also need to set the length. And the length usually is determined by how big the charge is. So the last one, I believe, was a 6-month? Was it a 6?
No, went for a year. It did go a year.
It was a year?
Over a year. Well, they went.
But so the group met for a year?
Yes.
Okay,
Pretty
so
much,
hopefully this one doesn't need to be quite that long.
We met weekly.
They went, I know, they were.
But that was, I mean, we looked at the entire chart.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that was the charge was huge. So we'll look at how big the charge looks like it's going to be, and then we will decide how long we want the charter group to go for. Yeah.
Would the charge include whether people who have served on a charter committee previously can do it again, or do we want to decide if we want new people? Would that be included in the charge?
Yeah,
okay.
We could set that however we
okay.
want. So the thought is to start the discussion at our next meeting, which is next week, and then continue it on June 10th, hopefully at that point, sort of get all of the issues out there, and then we'll need to approve the charge probably at the following meeting. Depending, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. If we can do it faster, we will. And then once the charge is established, then we will take applications for the committee. Just as we do with all other boards and commissions, we'll interview, so we'll need to set a date for that. And then that group will do their work. When they finish, they will have a set of recommendations that they bring back to the select board. We can accept them all. We can accept some and not others. We can do whatever we want with those recommendations. And then once we've voted on what we want to send up to the legislature, it goes to the legislature where they do what they want, right?
Essentially, yes, they do what they want.
Yes, and who in the legislatures do? Who actually takes it up?
Well, usually it's taken up by government operations, House government operations,
Okay.
Senate government operations. They would take a look at it. The last time I was asked to testify as to the work effort, unfortunately, they didn't take all of our recommendations, but they did make some changes that were very necessary.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Who in the legislation?
It's House government operations and Senate government operations. They generally take a look at the charters first.
Okay, so if this works for everyone, we'll put it officially on the agenda for next Monday's meeting to start the conversation, and then the conversation will continue. People can either submit ideas through the portal or come to either next meeting or the meeting on the 10th and share information.
And I imagine that by that meeting on the 10th, we might have some pretty good input from the public through the portal and
Yeah, I think at that point we'll have a sense of how many issues are out there.
Great.
And what we want to take up. So just by consensus, does that seem like a...
I'd like it to go for at least 1 or 2 more weeks, because I followed everything for the charter when it happened, and most of the public was clueless. The group did a good job. They met, I think it was at lunchtime. I would hope the next group would meet in the afternoon, so more people who work would be able to be on the committee. When they got their information throughout the year, they had several public meetings, but when it went to the select board did nothing with it at the 2 public hearings. And if I remember correctly, the night before we voted is the night the select board put together a sheet explaining what was going on.
I think that the charter is so important. I don't think the general public really understands the charter, and I think most of the input you're going to get in the next couple of weeks are going to be people who've been involved in the charter. One of the things that got throughout to benefit the people of Bennington, and so I think we really need to have some discussion so the general public understands your rights with this charter.
So we're talking about 3 meetings. We're talking about next week, June 10th, and then having it come back.
Which is 5 weeks because of the...
Which is 5 weeks
Yeah.
before we even put out the application process for the group. Because once the group meets, then they will do the work. And then they'll bring it back to the select board. And as in the last case, the select board paid attention, so we were very aware of what the charter committee was doing, what they were recommending, and so when they brought it to us, we were already well-versed and were comfortable with what they were recommending. The legislature was less so. But, so that would give us 5 weeks of input before we set the charge, which seems a plenty.
I think I'm correct that as far as the time and when they meet, that's up to the committee
Yes,
to
it
decide.
is.
We don't tell them when they have to meet. They pick a time of day and a day of the week that works for them.
Yeah, and well, I mean, they gave updates, so I mean, you didn't need to be at every meeting in order to follow their work.
And you could comment online, but the point is, if people are working and would like to be on the committee, it's going to be tough if they meet at lunchtime.
Well, they'll meet at a time, what they did before. Everyone on the committee, well, several people on the committee were employed. I think most were employed the last, and they chose a time that worked for everyone on the committee. So that's what they're doing. So they're not going to choose a time that doesn't work for a committee member. Okay. So that really, this was just to give us the process. Yes, please, come on up. And now, introduce yourself and...
Hi, Maria Corrales, resident Bennington. Could there be some validity in what she said? Because my understanding is there was only 6% turnout for the charter.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Yeah, we can hear you.
6%?
No, can you pull it down a little bit?
My understanding, I think there's some validity in what she says, because my understanding was only 6% turnout for the charter.
Did we vote in June? What? Was the vote in June?
No, I frankly don't remember, but
I may be wrong, but I think we voted in June, and for something like a charter, it should only be a town meeting. Anytime you hold a vote in June, you know that the voter turnout is going to be low. I know they wanted the committee to get through it in a year, and they couldn't. So they went into the next year, or the end of the year, and by the time it was warned, it went past town meeting, and they were in a rush to get it out, get it voted on, and we never should have voted in June.
Okay.
So when you vote on a charter, especially when, I've never heard a town going through the entire charter before. They went through the entire charter, and I could be wrong, but I think we voted in June, and I think there was like 500 people.
Right.
You have to vote on charter changes at town meeting.
Okay.
Or that's what I would think you'd want to do.
Well, so we'll figure that out as we do the timeline. I think that's a very good consideration. So as we think about how long we want the committee to meet for, and then, you know, everything takes several meetings. So making sure that we can get the timing right.
And this might sound a little arrogant, not arrogant, ignorant on my part. What is charge? Define charge.
Oh, the assignment is what you need to do. Yeah. So for every committee, even whether it's a standing committee like historic preservation, they all have charges. So they all have, here's what this committee does. And it's very important for shorter term committees to have very clear, here's what you're here for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that. Any other questions? All right, so we will take this up on the next agenda. Perfect.
Very good.
Manager's report.
Well, thank you. I have 2 action items for you tonight. Coming November 2nd, 2024, from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m., the United Counseling Service Annual Superhero 5K and Kids Dash event will be taking place. They are seeking road closures. A portion of Depot Street be closed during this time, and I think they'll be running the race. It's a 5K, so there'll be portions of Depot. Main and Gage will be closed on a rolling closure so that the race can take place. And I'm looking for a motion to close the roads requested for the date and time noted.
Someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Stu, is there really an aerial photo in this packet?
Yes.
Where?
I couldn't find it.
You couldn't find it?
No.
Well, it was supposed to be there.
Right there.
It's blank.
Sorry about that. I fully intended that you get the aerial photo. They were kind enough to provide it. I'm sorry it didn't make the packet.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? All right, the ayes have it.
And coming up, we'll have our review of our water and sewer budgets. We generally have at least one work session. I am proposing that we meet Saturday, June 8th, beginning at 8 a.m. until noon to review the two budgets. They are right now nearly finished. I have yet to put my pencil and pen to them, but we'll be having them to you. Probably we'll try to get them to you at least a week before the meeting so you have a chance to review them. I'll do my usual presentation so you understand what the highlights are. But I need a motion to set the work session for June 8th.
Will it be here?
We'll be here, yes. Open to the public.
So moved.
Jean, were you asking a question?
I don't know if I need to wait until we can discuss it, or I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. Just so you're aware, I will not be here in town on June 8th for scheduling purposes. Just make sure you have a quorum or whatever.
Okay, if we do it, should we do it, we need to do it then?
I'd hate to go later because we start pushing to the end of June and we want to be able to set the rates before July 1 if we can.
Okay, all right. So we will miss you. Okay. And we'll have to just make sure that we have everybody else. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You want to do it on a weeknight or just keep it with Saturday?
No,
No.
I think it's, yeah.
I mean, you're doing both budgets, total probably $8 million combined budgets. I think spending at least a good 4 hours with them at the beginning of a day rather than at the end of the day works for people.
Okay. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right. Thank you.
And then just a couple of quick announcements, if I could. The board has been concerned about the acoustics in this building, and Mark Sawyer and I have been trying to find acoustic engineers that might help us with an estimate. We have located an engineering firm that has taken a look at the building and has proposed, as we all would expect, some sort of a ceiling cover. Here, this is where you get your echo up into the concrete, and they have an estimate currently of about $10,000. I've asked them to hold that price while we take a look at how we're doing towards year end, towards the end of May and into June. As you know, interest rates have remained high, so our investments have been making excess interest monies. And if we have the funds available and they can get it done, we may look to get this done before the fiscal year is out. And they estimate that it will have a tremendous effect. And they've given us some examples of the work they've done, so they look pretty good. Second part, you've all probably heard this before, but we were awarded, that is the town of Bennington was awarded a $200,000 grant by the Downtown Development Board from the Downtown Transportation Fund for what's called the Woolumsac Riverwalk Redevelopment Phase 2, the skate park project. These funds will be added to the funds that we have already committed from the ARPA monies. Fundraising has started for the remainder. If we are successful, we may be looking to do a presentation here at the board level in June with an eye to beginning construction sometime in July or August of this year. So that is pretty good news for the community. As you know, we've been talking with the trustees from Old Bennington about taking over or taking maintenance of their roads. There is a statute that gives them authority to maintain their roads that was passed in 1959. The legislature took a look at it this year and decided that it was too complicated for them to repeal that ordinance this year. So they will look to the next legislative session to consider a repeal of that ordinance. In the interim, we are continuing our conversations with the trustees, and I will be meeting with the trustees sometime in May. I can't remember, it's a Tuesday evening coming up, it's on my schedule, to talk a little bit about how the town and the village might work together to maintain our roadways in a contractual basis as opposed to in a formal takeover. So that is coming back to you at some point. Boards and commissions applications close on May 15th. We still have a number of openings that no one has applied for, so if you're interested in serving the town, please contact my office. We'll let you know what positions still have no applications, and we'll be bringing those to you probably first meeting in June, and we'll start talking about interviewing for boards and commissions in June.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is really just for your benefit. For extended absences now at the senior center, we've made an arrangement with the Y to cover those extended absences. Otherwise, we have personnel in the town offices that stand in for a day or two, but where there is a week or two where the director is away, rather than close the center or short ourselves at the town offices, the Y has agreed to take over and run the programs at the center for us. So that was a load off of my mind because we were looking at some extended vacation periods.
That's excellent, Steve.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. It's quite a bit. All right, upcoming agendas. Yes.
On the follow-up commentary here on the community development report,
Yeah, Stu, are you comfortable with that? Shannon's not here.
Yeah, well, it depends on what the question is.
Okay.
I'm looking here at the Bennington Fair Food Initiative. I don't know if you're aware or people on TV are aware. I'm also a trustee for the Veterans Home. I see a comment here about the Veterans Home will build a community garden and connects their program for veterans with this Bennington Fair Food Initiative. I don't know where the information comes from, because in my discussions with the other trustees and the CEO of the Veterans Home, that don't know that it's not something that's been approved or that we are involved in. I understand there's going to be a presentation sometime in June, but I'm just wondering how that came about.
The Bennington Fair Food Initiative really was developed in the years 2018 and 2019. There was discussions apparently at that time with the Veterans Home about creating a garden space that could be utilized to provide fresh vegetables for the Veterans Home. I understand that the administration there was not too familiar with it. We heard that as well. But monies have been set aside in that $2.2 million earmark. So if the Veterans Home decides that they wish to move forward, there are funds apparently available to help the Veterans Home do that.
Make note of this is Bill from the Bennington Conservation District, Community Development Director, Tom Bennington, Director of the Public Action Bennington College, who did a presentation back in April at the Veterans Home. I just said, well, caught my eye was this, like I say, an absolute statement of will build the community garden that connects to this program, which is incorrect.
Thank you.
All right, so upcoming agendas. So the Bennington Police Department is coming to our meeting next Monday, yes?
Next Monday, yes.
Yes, which is May, what?
May 20th.
20th, thank you. And we also have, we'll start the Charter Commission
Yes.
discussion, and we also have Hometown Heroes coming, yes?
Oh, yes. Yes, they've indicated they are ready. That's right. Thank you.
Hometown Heroes, the agreement that we've been working on is finalized, we hope, for us to look at.
Aren't we due for an SVSU quarterly meeting?
No, that's private.
Oh, gotcha, thank you. Yep, gotcha.
All right, all right, other business. Nancy, anything?
Yeah. As somebody who has supported Bennington having a skate park, I'm very concerned about how this has happened and gone on for the past 2 years. I asked at our last meeting for it to be on the agenda tonight. I had specific questions for the board and Stu and Shannon and Dan. Having spent quite a bit of time over the past couple of months reading about several other towns in Vermont working towards skate parks, we really haven't done what most of the other towns are doing. We didn't go out to bid. We still need to have a public hearing. This supervised versus not supervised, the fantasy building, no one has said what this is going to cost the town taxpayers, and I don't know if the meeting is televised or if it's going to be taped next week, but the public deserves a lot of answers about how we've gotten to this point, because I think I've been at all the meetings and there hasn't been a lot of information, and we should have approved budgets and we should have gone out to bid, and there's just an awful information that everybody is missing on this project.
I know that they are prepared. The group that is actually working with the town staff on this, they've just begun their fundraising efforts. I think they believe they plan to make a presentation the second meeting in June to this board. Hopefully by then all of the design and cost estimates will be available and will be presented to the board and to the public at that time. I think that's the schedule.
So if I could just clarify a couple of things, there isn't any information missing, there's some pending, and where we are at this point in the process is something that has worked through this board up until now, so I just want to make that
Well,
reminder.
I think it was Ludlow Select Board went out to bid, had 3 groups that were highly recommended, turn in bids and design. 2 of them I'm aware of. One is right here in the state of Vermont. I don't know why we weren't told 2 years ago that there's a group that designs and builds concrete skateboard parks. They did the park in Brattleboro. They did the park in West Leb. I know the group that is working with Bennington is highly recommended, but when you're talking $1 million, you should go out to bid. You still haven't had the public hearing on the trees that should have happened 2 years ago that the state does require. This whole business with the building hasn't been really discussed well so that the public understands what's being proposed. I mean, there's just a lot of details. I wish I'd done 2 years ago what I did over the past 2 months. I just think when you're talking about fundraising, you've had a committee of 6 for 2 years. Have they raised any money for the first 2 years?
All right, so any comments?
No.
Again,
I'm just going on what other
Clark,
towns, they've been
This is
outrageous.
other business. This is, all you're doing is sharing any other business. Clark?
Yes. Last meeting in Bennington, I think one of the things I requested of you was that we meet with Bennington Housing Authority in regard to that considered deplorable condition of down by Willowbrook, everything from tires to bags of recycled soft drink bottles piled up around those homes. And I asked that to be an agenda item to get someone from the housing authority to look here.
So yes, so I did follow up on that because I did say that, perhaps that would make sense. The director of the Housing Authority, I know, reached out to you and said that she would like to take you around to all of the HUD-supported buildings and give you, and hear what your concerns, and to be able to give you a fuller picture. I also talked with our town manager, and the Housing Authority is under the direction of HUD. It is not under the direction of the Select Board. Our only role is to appoint the 5 members exactly the way that HUD tells us to, and then from there on, those representatives are the board that serve the Housing Authority, and any concerns should go through them, and they work with both the Housing Authority, staff, and also with HUD. So we have no authority, and our rule has been that we do not, if there's no connection to us, then it doesn't make sense to have them come in. If you want to pursue it with HUD or with the Board of Directors, who we are the liaison for the town, then then that's a way to do it. But we have no authority over those facilities.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because I did in fact respond to her email saying that, yeah, I would be interested in meeting with her, but I also said I think it would be good for the community to hear kind of what you just said. I provided her with photographs of these areas of concern, and I have gotten 0 response from her on my reply and acknowledgement of her suggestion and my acceptance of her suggestion. Now, it's good that you provided that information, but as I said earlier, I go down there and I see the sign Bennington Housing Authority, which you've explained, I guess it's a facade that they answer to us, and I see trucks with red government license plates on them, which makes me and probably the average person who would pass by think that represents this town. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I think if you've got a trashy-looking town, it makes people think you're a trashy town, which we're not.
Clark,
but thank you for the thank you for the information.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we want to always be respectful of all the community organizations that are in this community, and
respect isn't part of the discussion.
Treat them in a civil, appropriate manner. Jean, anything?
Yeah, I would just like to draw attention to a fundraising opportunity for the skate park, which I happen to support. They're doing a matching fundraiser. It's through a website called Patronicity, but the money is coming from a state grant called Better Places, and if you make a donation before June 30th, we have to raise $20,000 by June 30th, and it will get an additional $40,000 from our Better Places grant. So if someone out there has some extra cash and is in support of the skate park, this is the time to step up, because your donation will be tripled.
Thank you. All right. All right, with that, we have need of an executive session for personnel. We are not making any decisions, so we will not be coming back out into open session to vote on anything. Okay? So with that, could I have a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of personnel? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you all for staying to the very end.